Hey, all you happy lost souls. How are y'all doing out there? It's going to be a little in-depth video kind of today. We'll see where it takes us. I kind of just started rearranging and cleaning and trying to get a lot more of the actual artifacts and stuff displayed, separating them out by like anamorphic type stuff here, more artistic in design. This stuff's all corundum, aluminum oxide based materials, separating out fossils from the rocks. See another really cool example, more of a Solutrean style type. This is either for grooving into wood, like or a type of saw, or for hide. And you see this downward pressure, but this material here is a very, very low-grade ruby, essentially. This is like a real rough corundum. And here's a yellow one, but that same type of shape with this. It could have even been for, you could have gripped your fingers in here. It could have been even like a filing or type of tool for abrasion type shaping, which I get a lot of comments from other, I guess, arrowhead hunters that have a lot of paleo, Indian, woodland, actually more woodland type stuff, where got all the fancy notches and all the nice edge flaking. That stuff's a lot more recent in time than the stuff I'm dealing with. I've come across that kind of stuff, stemmed arrowheads, woodland period stuff. I have a couple, I believe, down here. You get a lot more detail on those types. I usually find them if I have the opportunity to walk people's land, especially farmland. As the plows come and remove inches of land, I'll peel back the artifacts still intact most of the time. So like they were dropped, covered up, and then that's how you find them, so you don't get all that kind of wear and tear. Whereas I'll show you an example of a couple points in here that are very unique. I have some in this glass case over here as well. We're on this weird kind of transition in time where you go through a lot of these like diamond shaped tiny points. There's probably multiple composite points up a shaft. You see a lot of this in the later Neolithic and Mesolithic type periods, where you have different little tiny sawtooths leading up to the arrow, almost like a harpoon or like barbed. All kinds of crazy things with very small points. And you go back to archaic or, paleo, way back, paleo period is like, 10,000 years back to 2 million the years, the existence of, relatives of humankind. But yep, I still have literally 70% of the collection to get out of totes and find areas. I always preach artifact efficacy as well. And really, what does that mean? Well, sure, you can call something a geofact or a rock that looks like an artifact if you just find a one-off, right? Like a file. Someone could just say that was just a rock that formed that way. Or a poking tool or another tool right here. A lot of this type of poking style tool. But then if I come over here and you start to see that it's the pattern of things over and over again, you get the same shape, you get files, you get these crazy pokers, and again, lying on this really light colored chert, you see that artifact patina. So the oils, the grease, the pitch on the people's fingers using this stain the rock, and then that mineralized over the thousands of years. So to literally turn that pitch into a mineral. We find that on tons of artifacts. You see it here. Look at the amount of pitch on this one. You obviously see where they held it. I mean, it's completely covered in that patina on the one side. Look at all that dust. That is all from carving and polishing sapphire. That's aluminum oxide dust, and it gets everywhere. So you got to have a fan running. I've been trying to dust this stuff up. You want to wear like a mask if you're ever cutting rock or anything like that. Some of my gemstones that I've polished and gotten looking okay, which is what we'll talk about soon as well. But you can see all the different efficacy with the different picks and the files all being so similar. And that's kind of what this tray does. It moves through the different tools. Some of these are really old. You get this scalpel type design. Again, made out of that corundum. Some of this is actually not corundum. This here is more of a volcanic material. This is some kind of obsidian. I have another obsidian tool down there. I've showed in many videos. We get a lot of these hooks in the Neo and Meso periods. These little tiny different fishing hooks made out of various materials. A lot of times they're made out of soapstone because it's very easy to shape. I have a whole tray of those somewhere. Soapstone artifacts. Just more stuff here. We go through. You get a lot of bird arrows. These really fat, blunt, triangular tips. They didn't want to actually puncture a bird or damage the meat inside. So these things would go up and come straight back down, but they would just knock the bird out. That's kind of the point of those. Look, you're starting to get into some stem design. This really early idea of starting to put stems on the tips to shaft them when they were moving out of these non-stemmed keel haul designs that more reminiscent of Solutrean design. These are just some metals that were worked into tools, or some rocks that contain a lot of metals, which we have a ton of that because it's a lot of metamorphic design. Or metamorphic upticks in the area and tons of weird geology. But here's a very diamond-shaped point that was formed. You can see that's edge worked. It's completely flat on the one side. That's what you would get a lot with these. But the Solutrean stuff is very diamond-shaped stuff. It's always made so ornately and beautiful with beautiful cuts. And they were the same people that were making these pendants, like this crazy woolly mammoth head right here with the trunk, the mouth, the tongue, even got an eye in here. Now this is sapphire or corundum that is bubbling up and growing out of the schist, this background rock that is coming out of the base material. Somebody has gone in and cut everything back to make like a pendant with this, relief behind it. It's really neat when like this gets wet. There's a little cave up here with a fire burn. There's a whole background image in it. The head of the Nephilim, you got the ear, the eye, the mouth. This very flat head, looks like a Bigfoot. It's some kind of gold amalgamation or early attempts at melting down some kind of metals. And then they've got like this ochre staining the mouth and the eye. Some say it could be like a ground sloth if you flipped it this way. I'm not really sure. Keep it that way. You got like a side profile of a wolf and this gold sheen milk sapphire. Got this weird bear head, and the bear head has a hand with a sword right there. Very hard to see. I got to clean up some of the calcite around that, but it almost looks like it kind of could be a flying axe or tomahawk, but it almost looks like a hand. The hand is the nose of the bear. And then the jaw and the eye of the bear from the side here make up that flying tomahawk or hammer or whatever that is. And you can see that this is some sort of corundum with all the porosity, some sort of sapphire that is growing out of this calcified schist and various types of feldspars, things like that. We get yellow sapphire with these red streaks. They accentuated this inclusion here as the eye, the mouth, and this is also a tool. This is a shaft straightener and a cutter. You got another turtle effigy, a lot of turtle effigies. Horse, mouth, eye, side profile, mane blowing in the wind. Yellow sapphire, edged out for the finger. This is a pressure flaking tool. You got a lot of those. This shape comes up a lot in a lot of the sites, this weird zigzag shape that repeats a lot. I get these little turtles, more turtle straightener, poker there that's in the shape of like, I don't know, a fish or a beaver or a wolf with a pointy nose. Corundum drill bit made out of sapphire. Very good idea if you want to go through hard stuff. This is a corundum or clear sapphire knife. You could see how it was edged down there. And it was even flaked a little bit, which is very hard to do. Another yellow sapphire pressure flaking tool. But yeah, so the culture working with all the sapphire stuff. But we come around to here now, and I just show you, like, here is a sapphire really early stemmed arrowhead. So when you're moving out of this time period into this stemmed paleo woodland type time period, before that you'd get these very bizarre type points. This one here is made out of like a flint of some sort. Could be like a shale, but you could see where it was percussioned. The middle is left up, elevated, so this has been more of like a knife. It could have been attached down into a shaft as well. But you can see the percussion on the edges there, and then the actual flaking. We have another one made of quartz that's the same shape and design. You can see all the edge flaking down there on that. We have a lot of sapphire tools down here, little sapphire effigies, blue sapphire knife. That is made out of some sort of tusk. That is a knife. It is a petrified or fossilized tusk at this point, fossilized ivory. Sapphires of multiple colors over here. So these are all corundums, even though they look very different. They're all aluminum oxide. They're all gemstones. You can see how boxy they form, or they a lot of times form like a home plate barrel in that pyramidic matrix. You can see all the faceting on this one. You got 1 side, 2 side, 3 side, 4 side, 5 side, 6 side, and all that natural faceting. And you can kind of see that corundum shape 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's trying to the other half of that point is missing, just never formed. It depends how much that gap that it grew in out of the silicates was. We get tons of cool metamorphic rocks. Some of this stuff very pretty looking. This is what we call a Wissahickon schist garnet complex. So you see all that gold schist, and then you see all these beautiful dark crimson garnets growing out of it in complex. And it's good to have multiple materials when you have a hardness tester, so you can really see if your instruments are working. Because you know where a garnet's supposed to come, you know where glass is supposed to come, you know where sapphire should show up on the tester. So you test all of these materials against your materials. Use multiple testers, especially if they're cheap, so you know that, one tester is not giving you false results if you have multiple testers. Although I damaged the generic one. I usually use these HKMIS hardness testers. They're about $17-18 on Amazon, but Temu, handy for its knockoffs as it is, has one for about $6, and it does the same exact thing. I just kind of damaged the probe on the end, so whenever it detects something really hard, it just goes all the way up off the Richter scale and then turns off. So it's too annoying to use. But I'll show you how that works. I have another long, extensive video on the diamond selector, or the hardness meter. So let me turn this guy on. So your initial thing to use, you got to take this little nipple off. And you just got to turn on this toggle here until you start seeing light. You want to get that down around 1.5, and just let it warm up. Don't touch this metal plate on the back while it's doing its thing. When that second light goes red, it's ready to use. It's warming up. This is kind of a heat type probe. It measures the heat reflected back on it. Now there's a lot of different feedback online. Some people insist on grabbing these metal plates. I do hold the metal plates when I test. Some people say it screws it up if you don't. On bigger stones, or if I've been using the tester for a while, I tend not to hold the plate, because once it gets too warm under your fingers, it starts having weird readings and things like that. So really, how I start with this is I put this usually up to about, when I'm inside, up to about 4 or 5. It's really irrelevant of where you start. You know, glass should jump about 1. Porcelain about 1. You should be up around 6, 6.5. So we'll try the glass here on the case real quick and see what we get. Just touch it there, and it went up 1, about to 6. Porcelain. Let me get my hand down that probe so people don't bitch in the video. Yeah, about 1. So let that go back down to its base reading there. Switch hands. Please forgive my videography. It's not good. So I got this giant clear ghost grayish sapphire back here. We're going to see this thing going to go way up on the sapphire and corundum. And regardless of the color, we're going to get that hard reading. It should be up around 8. The key is it should jump about 3 or 4 times over glass and porcelain. The blue, more blue. Yep. So it should come in around 8.5, 9. Sometimes the yellow will come in a little bit lower. This is one of those beautiful paradacea sapphires, one of the most valuable colors. It's in between yellowish and pink, and it color shifts. This is radical. I love this. It's a beautiful stone. You can really get tricked with this one because a lot of people will think this looks like golden healer quartz, which it kind of does, but it's about 5 times harder. 5,000 times harder, really. Again, the porcelain going to go up about 1. Let me get back down there. Going to go up about 1. The glass. We get on to a sapphire of any kind. It's going to go up around 8.5, 9. Very cool, huh? So how about the garnet? Where should that come in at? Let's see how accurate this is. That should come in around 8. It shouldn't go up higher than that. Yep, this is working perfect. So once you realize like the materials are showing up accurate, and you get your baseline reading, you say, all right, even if I'm down here, let's drop it down lower. If I'm down, I start around 4. It should still only go up 1 for the material glass or the tile here. It should jump up about 3 or 4 for this sapphire. It'll still go all the way up. This is stuff very hard. And this is cool because I got 2 different materials. So you got this beautiful blue, and this is still in its pyramidic structure, which is how certain sapphires will grow. This double, I guess you would call that like a bipyramidic structure, so pyramid going up top and then a pyramid forming down below. You can see all of this silicate base material, this is a form of feldspar. It looks like, spessartite feldspar almost because it's crystallized, but that should test like glass because it's a silicate. So that material up here, this brown stuff, should come in at like around 1 up. See, 1, 2 up. But if I come down onto this blue now, I'm sliding here. Hold on. Yeah. The other thing you want to be very cautious of, let me try to flip this one around so I can get a better, there we go. So I go from this, obviously the silicate up here, and then underneath it here, I'll go for the sapphire, way harder. Same rock, same specimen, but you can see where the formation of the sapphire occurred cooked out of that base silicate that had a lot of aluminum in it. The reason the sapphire gets blue and bluish yellow is because there's a lot of titanium impurities that are being mixed in with the process and formation of these aluminum oxides. If you get like magnetite and hematite and sulfurs and different types of coppers, you can get a lot of yellows and greens sometimes. That's a big chunk of yellow sapphire. You can still see that corundum type formation going on there. Wants to keep those facets. This is a massive, beautiful piece of that ghost sapphire. I'm going to shut this off now. You guys get the drift with the tester. Just a very rough, good rough indicator. Now, I would get yourself a more advanced or mechanical hardness meter. I have one at my dad's shop that we've used here and there that then I might try to get some more of these rocks tested on that we've used for testing like government tolerances. It's a mechanical hardness tester. They're extremely expensive though, so I just don't have the funds. What I really hope to do as this channel grows is to get an FRX gun. You can just scan anything with those and it tells you the materials that the thing is made out of. I know that the geology is so unique in the area I find a lot of this stuff at that there could be elements that haven't even been discovered yet on the periodic table. But just really neat. But really my goal going forward in my next few videos is to try to get the full spread of artifacts out, or most of them, so we can at least discuss some of them. I got to get a lot of these dusted off from the aluminum oxide, because I even got some hide type arrowheads. I don't even know what material they're made out of, what animal. Just all kinds of stuff, different time periods. You can see like the smoother axes. You got this smoother period here, more Neolithic or Mesolithic, whereas these are more Paleolithic or lower Neolithic, a little bit older than these. These ones that weren't smoothed out were more used by hand. They were non-composite generally. Telltale sign again of the artifact patina, some kind of pitch they had this attached to something with. And these are extremely early agricultural tools, very similar, and you see the cutting edge there, for clearing trees, for settlement, so activity. Again, we see a more sapphire tools, this giant yellow sapphire saw. Another corundum saw, great for sawing through other rocks and pretty much through anything because of how hard and durable it is. Yellow sapphire pick, hammer, for composite tool. A sapphire Celt or tomahawk head. This is a weapon. Just more worked and shaped clear milk corundum or sapphire. Another piece where it's been worked into like a knife. Just a lot of tools. This beautiful crazy poker here. Look at that. And you can see where you've got a spot for your one finger and then the other to get leverage. And then this finger comes over top and just right along the edge of something you want to flake with your leather in the other hand, and you flake the stone. You get good leverage with this. Fits in the hand really nice. And again, we see some artifact patina running around it. Some of the artifacts that were really lucky, and we find some cool ones sometimes. They still have the paint on them, or the dye, or the pigment. I had a few out a little bit ago that had that. I'm trying to see if they're still out here. Should be somewhere. Where are they? Interesting. Where did they go? Oh, here they are. So you see this Celt. You see that pigment, red, black. You see where they had it tied down and it missed that part. So it got more of a whiter base material under here with this pigment on it. Can really see it on this Celt head or tomahawk head here, the cutting edge. You see that white, that red outline running around the whole whole thing then's black here, some red here that's fading, white on the end, red, black, and white. You know, these were extremely important colors, especially for wartime. So obviously some conflict archaeology in the same layers. And we get this like painting red and white or red and black combination on a lot of artifacts that have pigment. I probably only have like 20 that have pigment or, you know, staining still from when they were either had enamel on them or they were painted for war or for just for, you know, for style or expression, whatnot. So there's a whole time period, a whole range of things. You have to be careful because, you know, like this is really rough corundum right here, and you can see how it forms that shape, that typical corundum shape. This could easily be mistaken for an artifact, but this is. So they found this shaped, already pre-shaped by nature, but they kind of chipped out some of the back. This is probably just used as a hand hammer or a filing type tool. It's really smoothed out, not naturally. It would have to have been worked to get that way. Get these other little picks made out of that schist that is speckled with all the garnets. And the really fascinating, this almost looks like it was wood at one time. You see the actual grains in it? It's almost like wood. These were wood tools that were then fossilized into petrified wood and replaced by silicated, they call it. You can see the grains running through it. See? This very well could be a silicated petrified wood. Wouldn't that be crazy if these were like wooden artifacts at one time and they're so old now that they've turned to stone? Generally it takes over 10,000 years for that to occur, but there can be rapid silification depending on the geology in the area. More hammers, more celts, different styles, different hand tools. You got mortars, files, these little hammers that remind me of like the little ball hammers for metalworking. But you can see this piece here that it was worked. Somebody flaked off a piece of this. You got this real smooth flake missing, almost the shape of an actual arrowhead there. The issue with getting pristine arrowheads, especially out of creeks, is they get tumbled. Also, people have to take into account the material. You don't need to flute aluminum oxide. The stuff is so hard, it could probably go through metal armor. And it's already naturally grows in sheets. So if you can get it the fracture right, or you can just find it in these thinner sheets already, like here's a perfect example of a great Solutrean style point made out of yellow sapphire. See how thin the yellow sapphire is already? No need to flute it. All you would have to do is shape it the way you want it by rubbing it and filing it with either aluminum oxide powder or sand. If you use the sand in the creek that the aluminum oxide's from, there's a lot of ground up aluminum oxide already in the sand. Sand, water, and you get like a super abrasive type stone, like a granite or a quartzite, something like this. And you can see the patina on that, and you can kind of get water and just start rubbing the sand and water until you get the perfect shape. And once you have the shape, because it's already thin, the reason arrowheads are fluted or cored and then percussioned and chipped along the sides is to strengthen the core, because the material, although it's hard, is usually more brittle. So you want to keep the edges thin for cutting purposes, but the middle beefier, so it just doesn't fracture or flake as soon as it hits something, so it has penetration. This stuff you would have no problem. Second hardest material on earth only to diamonds. More robust and more durable than a diamond. And you can make this shape and just sharpen it to a point, and this would go through just about anything for you. All you'd have to do is cut a little notch in your shaft, slide it down with some, usually they'll put a little bit of a pitch or glue in there. Sometimes they'll wrap them. And that's that very diamond or rhombus type kite shaped arrow point that we see the Solutreans are very notable for. They also make another strange design like this here, where they're almost heart-shaped. Like the back is sort of fluted a little bit, the edges are, but the core is raised. It would have sat down in the shaft like that. Again, pretty small, but very, very smart and effective type of point. Again, points that you don't really see, after 13, like those points are 16, 17,000 years back. Same thing with some of these shaped ones down here. These are like pre-Clovis. You can see this design right here, this one with the two little shoulders coming off the bottom there, they date back to around 17,000 years. That's a little bit more recent there. That looks like a star-shaped arrow point. That's more Mingwa, so more recent. This is super old. This is like one of the predecessors to stemmed arrows. So this is when they were going from diamond to shafting. So this is like a great transition period. And of course, this being sapphire, thank God, it wore away a little bit in the creek, but still kept most of its shape. And again, though, you can see they shaped this not by flaking and not by percussion, but by abrasion. They filed on one side completely flat, and they did a little bit of flaking on the top, so this would be unifacially flaked, one-sided. That's another Solutrean telltale trademark. And what I think happened is that diamond-shaped point that they were using, for instance, may have evolved by just taking and chipping out the edges down here into a stem, or maybe just certain materials or another group was making them a different way. There's multiple designs. There's more of those heart-shaped ones. There's ones in here with tiny stems. There's ones without stems. A lot of ones with broken points. Here's a beautiful blue sapphire tip or arrowhead with the stem, but the top tip was broken off. That's a arrow point made out of ruby. Another one made out of darker yellowish sapphires right there. So yeah, they're using very exotic materials. I thought I'd show you some other cool minerals, since very, very sparkly stuff right here is a type of pyrite and mica within a very loose shale matrix. This is almost like sand still, so you gotta be very careful because it's flaky, like pieces will fall off of it, but it's just so cool because it's so sparkly, right? Yeah. And this here, my friends, is reading so hard on my detector that I originally thought this was very high-grade clear sapphire inside of this. Really, this is like a serpentine, but a lot of schist in here and a lot of metals. And it may be kimberlite, because these things are testing off the scales, like 5 times higher than diamonds. They go, sapphires. They go off of my meter down there. And I noticed it with the gem window on the outside, and I cracked it open, and all these crystals were inside here. Some are darker, some are lighter, but they're all crystal clear. Some rainbow. Rainbowing means this stuff very hard. There's some rainbowing on this one back here. You might be able to see that right there, that rainbow inside the rock, almost like opal. That's the one piece that's testing off the scales. Now, this is kimberlite. It would be strange. It just might be a serpentine that was near a kimberlite formation that got sprayed and speckled with diamonds, but they usually don't form like that within the kimberlite. They're more speckled throughout it, not like mass chunks like this. Although they're very diamond-shaped in their matrix, it could be a very high-grade sapphire, because really high-grade clear sapphire and diamond look very, very similar. In fact, the clear sapphire has more value than diamond now, because they use them for fair trade diamond rings. Essentially, they've been replacing diamond rings now for a while. Anyways, guys, please subscribe. Also, check out the Happy Lost Souls merchandise in the Happy Lost Souls store under the community tab. Also, I'll post a link to it in the description. Please subscribe. Also, memberships are now available. It really, really helps grow the channel. And there's free exclusive stuff over there, such as like early access to videos, series that aren't on the unpaid version of Happy Lost Souls, like Myth and Legends is a series that I moved over to there. Just special announcements and more one-on-one interaction. And as the memberships grow, there'll be more things offered. I only have a couple members right now. I do post things over there, but just kind of got to grow the community. And those who have become members, you will always be remembered as being the first couple members of Happy Lost Souls, and we're super grateful. Check out the awesome merchandise. A lot of my music videos and other videos that are more like slideshows have all kinds of weird, trippy, cool artwork in them. All originals. There's all kinds of that stuff on the merchandise. There's a mug of the month for the springtime collection right now. Those are limited, so once they sell through a certain amount, that's that. There's all kinds of t-shirts, all that kind of stuff, so just check that out. Anything to help the channel grow so we can get some tools to further the research of this crazy mystery in southeastern Pennsylvania. I hope you found this video useful and entertaining, and if not, I apologize for wasting your time. Anyways, please sub and like if you know about the Sapphire contest that's going on from the previous videos. That'll be announced in a few days on Sunday, the winner. So you still have an opportunity to go check out those other 4 videos posted about the second free Sapphire giveaway. All you have to do is comment on one of those videos and it enters you for free in the contest. And not a contest, but a giveaway. You'll get a blue sapphire, a small yellow one, and some Happy Lost Souls merchandise with it as well. Anyways, one other thing. I saw a lot of comments about how do you polish or cut this corundum or harder stone. Try everything like sandpaper. Really, the best way is one of these like high-powered rotary tools with diamond bits, unless you have a faceting machine, which they cost a lot. And these work great. I get these on Temu. These are different grades of diamond files, and then I use the aluminum oxide powder created from polishing the other ones as an abrasive. There's also these diamond coated sponges of different courses that'll help you get through the stuff. It's still really hard work. It takes time, and also wear masks, have ventilation, have fans running, or you get dust everywhere. The dust is so fine. I mean, it's what they make deodorants and stuff out of, but you don't want the stuff in your lungs. It is aluminum oxide. It does contain metals, so I'm going to be careful with that. Anyway, I hope you like some of the other minerals of the area and semi-precious gemstones of the area, besides just the sapphires and different color sapphires and gemstones and potentially diamond. Gotta look into that a little more. It's very weird that it's rainbowy and so hard, so much harder than the sapphire is. Anyways, guys, I love you all. Please subscribe. Stay safe. Peace.